This is a informative speech on confined entry, and this is our audience for today. I'm Daniel Dennett, and today we'll be talking about confined entry. On average, 2 workers don't go home to their families each week due to a confined space accident. Knowing this, we need to know what is a confined space and what does this mean to us. So a confined space has to meet 3 definitions. You can see the ands right here, so there's 1, 2, and 3. So it's a space that's large enough and also configured that an employee can enter and do his assigned work. It has limited or restricted means for entry and exit, and it is not designed for continuous employee occupancy. So, like I said, it has to meet all 3 of those criteria, and then it's defined as a confined space. When working in this confined space, there's hazards that we need to know about. So looking at a couple of examples right here, we have at the top, so does an employee fit in each of these right here? Yes. So each of those so far is a confined space. They are not designed for continuous occupancy. Probably not. So far both of those. This one right here, that is not. This one right here, kind of questionable. You know, if you put a bed in here and turn that into a bedroom, maybe it's not a door, it's a round door, not a square door. So far right there, this right here is not a confined space, where the rest of these still do. Is there limited entry or exit? So all 3 of these have limited entry or exit. You can see the ladder right here. This right here, you could walk right through. This is not a confined space, so there's not hazards we're talking about today. The rest of these, any of these situations we're faced with, there are hazards. And what are these hazards? So in the oxygen, in the air around us, there are certain parameters that have to be met. So oxygen, you need to be between 19.5 and 23.5% oxygen. Anytime you get below that or above that, you're in a hazardous atmosphere. Explosive gases, no more than 10% of the LEL. So once you get above 10% explosive gases, you're in a hazardous condition. H2S, no less than 10 parts per million. And once you get above 10 parts per million, back into a hazardous condition. And the last one, carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide, we know, is a silent killer. You have to have less than 35 parts per million. Anytime you get outside of these parameters, you're right here, then you are in a hazardous condition. So, how do we eliminate these hazards to keep our employees safe? So, before an employee, this is OSHA regulations, before an employee enters a workspace, this space has to be tested. There's a gas tech. You can lower a tube in, it pulls the atmosphere air into the device, and it'll test the atmosphere. So you have to do that. Anytime the employee is in the confined space, you have to have forced air pushing fresh air into them. That's dictated whether it is or is not hazardous. That forced air has to be provided. Leave the space immediately if a hazard is detected. Anything happens, that gas tech goes off, you got to get your employee out of there. Lastly, if the gas tech does go off and there's a hazardous atmosphere, you need to resolve the issue, find the problem, resolve the issue before the employee can get back in again. Once again, testing the atmosphere throughout. In summary, we need to be cautious with confined spaces. We need to know our hazards. We need to eliminate the hazards, and we need to all go home at the end of the day. We just don't want to be a statistic where we're not able to do so. Anyway, and thank you for your participation.